Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 5. Shishiko vacha nandastvatmaja upanne jata hlado mahamana ahuya vipran vedajnyan snata suchiralankrita vachayitva vyastyayanam jata karmatma jasya vai karyamasa vidhi vat Pitridevarchanam Tatha. Shukadeva Goswami said, Nanda Maharaj was naturally very magnanimous, and when Lord Sri Krishna appeared as his son, he was overwhelmed by jubilation. Therefore, after bathing and purifying himself and dressing himself properly, he invited brahmanas who knew how to recite Vedic mantras. After having these qualified brahmanas recite auspicious Vedic hymns, he arranged to have the Vedic birth ceremony celebrated for his newborn child according to the rules and regulations, and he also engaged for worship of the demigods and forefathers. Purport Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has discussed the significance of the words Nandastu. The word tu, he says, is not used to fulfill the sentence because without tu, the sentence is complete. Therefore, the word tu is used for a different purpose. Although Krishna appeared as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva did not enjoy the Jata Karma, the festival of birth ceremony. Instead, the ceremony was enjoyed by Nanda Maharaj. As stated here, Nandastvatmaja Upanne Jata Lado Mahamanaha. When Nanda Maharaj met Vasudeva could not disclose, your son Krishna is actually my son. You are his father in a different way spiritually. Because of fear of Kamsa, Vasudeva could not observe the festival of Krishna's birth. Nanda Maharaj, however, took full advantage of this opportunity. The Jata Karma ceremony can take place when the umbilical cord connecting the child and the placenta is cut. However, since Krishna was brought by Vasudeva to the house of Nanda Maharaj, where was the chance for this to happen? In this regard, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur desires to prove with evidence from many shastras that Krishna actually took birth as a son of Yashoda for the birth of Yogamaya, who is therefore described as Lord's younger sister. Even though there may be doubts about cutting the umbilical cord, and even though it is possible that this was not done when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, such events are regarded as factual. Krishna appeared as Varahadev, the nostril of Brahma, and therefore Brahma is described as the father of Varahadev. Also significant are the words Karyam Asha Vidhivat. Being overwhelmed with jubilation over the birth of his son, Nanda Maharaj did not see whether the cord was cut or not. Thus, he performed the ceremony very gorgeously. According to the opinion of some authorities, Krishna was actually born as the son of Yashoda. In any case, without regard for material understandings, we can accept that Nanda Maharaj celebration for the ceremony of Krishna's birth was proper. This ceremony is therefore well known everywhere as Nandotsava. Dhenunam Niyute Pradad Viprebhya Samalankrite Tiladrin Saptar Ratnaugha Satta Kumbha Bhararvrita. Nanda Maharaj gave 2 million cows completely decorated with cloth and jewels in charity to the Brahmanas. He also gave them 7 hills of grain covered with jewels and with cloth decorated with golden embroidery. Kalina snana sauchabhyam samskarais tapasya sudhyanti danai santushtya dravyanyatmatma vidyaya. O king, by the passing of time, land and other material possessions are purified. By bathing, the body is purified, and by being cleansed, unclean things are purified. By purificatory ceremonies, birth is purified. By austerity, the senses are purified, and by the worship and charity offered to the Brahmanas, material possessions are purified. By satisfaction, the mind is purified, and by self-realization or Krishna consciousness, the soul is purified. These are shastric injunctions concerning how one can purify everything according to Vedic civilization. Unless purified, anything we use will infect us with contamination. In India, 5,000 years ago, even in the villages such as that of Nanda Maharaj, people knew how to purify things, and thus they enjoyed even material life without contamination. So Mangalya Giro Vipra Sutta Magada Vandina Gayakascha jagur nedur bhiryo dundubhayo muhu. The Brahmanas recited auspicious Vedic hymns which purified the environment by their vibration. The experts in reciting old histories like Puranas, the experts in reciting the histories of royal families, and general reciters all chanted while singing, while singers sang, and many kinds of musical instruments like the bheris and dundubis played in accompaniment. Vraja samrishtha samsikta dvara jira hantara chitradvaja pataka srak chaila pallavat torane. Rajapur, the residence of Nanda Maharaj, was fully decorated with varieties of festoons and flags, and in different places gates were made with varieties of flower garlands, pieces of cloth, and mango leaves. The courtyards, the gates near the roads, and everything within the rooms of the houses were perfectly swept and washed with water. Gava Vrisha Vatsatara Haridra Taila Rushita Vichitradhatu Barhashrag Vastra Kanchana Malina. The cows, the bulls, the calves were thoroughly smeared with a mixture of turmeric oil mixed with varieties of minerals. Their heads were bedecked with peacock feathers, and they were garlanded and covered with cloth and golden ornaments. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has instructed in Bhagavad Gita, Shiro Krishi Goraksha Varnikyam, Vaishyakarma Swabhavajam. Farming, cow protection, and trade are the qualities of work for the Vaishyas. Nanda Maharaj belonged to the Vaishya community, the agriculturist community. How to protect the cows and how rich this community was are explained in these verses. We can hardly imagine that cows, bulls, and calves could be cared for so nicely and decorated so well with cloths and valuable golden ornaments. How happy they were. As described elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, during Maharaj Yudhishthira's time, the cows were so happy that they used to muddy the pasturing grounds with milk. This is Indian civilization, yet in the same place, India, Bharatvarsha, how much people are suffering by giving up the Vedic way of life, not understanding the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Mahara Vastra Bharana Kanchukhokshnita Bhushita Gopasam Samaya Yurajan Nano Payana Parnaya. O King Parikshit, the cowherd men dressed very opulently with valuable ornaments and garments such as coats and turbans, decorated in this way and carrying various presentations in their hands. They approached the house of Nanda Maharaj. When we consider the past conditions of the agriculturists in the village, we can see how opulent he was simply because of agricultural produce and production of cows. At the present, however, agriculture having been neglected and cow protection given up, the agriculturist is suffering pitiably and is dressed in niggardly torn cloth. This is the distinction between India of history and the India of the present day. By the atrocious activities of Ugra Karma, we are killing the opportunity of human civilization! Exclamation mark. Gopyascha karnya mudita yashodaya sutodbhavam atmanam hushayam chakrur vastra kalpan janadibi. The Gopi wives of the cowherd men were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son, and they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. Navakunkuma kinjalka mukha pankaja bhutaya palibhistvaritam jagmu prithu shonyas chalachukucha. The lotus-like faces extraordinarily beautiful being decorated with saffron and newly grown kumkuma. The wives of the cowherd men hurried to the house of Mother Yashoda with presentations in their hands. Because of natural beauty, the wives had full hips and full breasts, which moved as they hurried along. The cowherd men and women in the villages lived in a very natural life, and the women developed natural feminine beauty with full hips and breasts. Because women in modern civilization do not live naturally, their hips and breasts do not develop in this natural fullness. Because of artificial living, women have lost their natural beauty. Although they claim to be independent and advanced in material civilization, The descriptions of the village women gives a clear example of the contrast between natural life and the artificial life of a condemned society, such as that of Western countries, where topless, bottomless beauty may be easily purchased in clubs and shops for public advertisements. The word balibhi indicates that women were carrying gold coins, jeweled necklaces, nice cloths, newly grown grass, sandalwood pulp, garlands, and similar offerings on plates made of gold. Such offerings are called bali. The words Twaritam Jagmu indicate how happy the village women were to understand that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a wonderful child known as Krishna. गोप्या सुमृष्टा मणिकुण्डला निष्ककण्ठ्यास् चित्राम्बरापतिशिख्य चित्तमाल्यवर्षा नन्दालयं सवलया व्रजतीर्विरेजुर्व्यलोलकुण्डलपयोधरहारशोभा. In the ears of the gopis were brilliantly polished jeweled earrings, and from their necks hung metal lockets. Their hands were decorated with bangles. The dresses were of varied colors, and from their hair flowers fell onto the street like showers. Thus, while going to the house of Maharaj Nanda, the gopis, their earrings, breasts, and garlands moving were brilliantly beautiful. The descriptions of the gopis who were going to the house of Maharaj Nanda to welcome Krishna is especially significant. The gopis were not ordinary women, but expansions of Krishna's pleasure potency, as described in the Brahma Samhita. Anand chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabhis tabhirya eva nijarupataya kalabhi Goloka eva navasatya kilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Chintamani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha Lakshavriteshu surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra sata sambrahma sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Krishna is always worshipped by the gopis wherever he goes. Therefore, Krishna is so vividly described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also described Krishna in this way. Ramya kachit pasana vrajavadhu vargena ya kalpita. All the gopis were going to offer Krishna their presentations because the gopis are eternal associates of the Lord. Now the gopis were more jubilant because of the news of Krishna's appearance in Vrindavan. Ta ashisha prayun janas chiram pahiti balake haridra churna tailadbhi sinchantyo janam ujjagu. Offering blessings to the newborn child Krishna, the wives and the daughters of the cowherd men said, "May you become the king of Raja and long maintain all its inhabitants." They sprinkled a mixture of turmeric powder, oil, and water upon the birthless Supreme Lord and offered their prayers. Avadyanta vichitrani vaditrani mahotsave Krishna vishvesware nante nandasya vrajamagate. Now that all the pervading, unlimited Lord Krishna, the master of the cosmic manifestation, had arrived within the estate of Maharaj Nanda, various types of musical instruments resounded to celebrate the great festival. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of religion, at that time I descend myself. Whenever Krishna comes once in the day of Brahma, he comes to the house of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. Krishna is master of all creation, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Therefore, not only in the neighborhood of Nanda Maharaj's estate, but all over the universe, and in all other universes, musical sounds celebrated the auspicious arrival of the Lord. Gopa parasparam hrishta dadik shira kri tam budbhi asin chanto vilimpanto navanitas cha kikshipu. In gladness, the cowherd men enjoyed the great festival by splashing one another's body with a mixture of curd, condensed milk, butter, and water. They threw butter on one another and smeared it on one another's body. From this statement, we can understand that 5,000 years ago, not only was there enough milk, butter, and curd to eat, drink, and cook with, but when there was a festival, it would be thrown about without restriction. There was no limit to how extensively milk, butter, curd, and other such products were used in human society. Everyone had an ample stock of milk, and by using it in many varied milk preparations, people would keep good health in natural ways and thus enjoy life in Christian consciousness. Nando Mahamanastebhyo Vasolancara Godhanam Sutamagada Magada Vandibhyo Yenye Vidyopajivina Taiste Kamer Adinatma Yathochitam Apujayat Vishnur Aradhanarthaye Ya Swaputrasyodhayaya Cha. The great-minded Maharaj Nanda gave clothing, ornaments, and cows in charity to coward men in order to please Lord Vishnu, and thus he improved the conditions of his own son in all respects. He distributed charity to the Sutas, the Magadas, the Vandis, the men of all other professions according to their educational qualifications, and satisfied everyone's desire. Although it has become fashionable to speak of Daridra Narayan, the word Vishnu Aradhanarthaya do not mean that all the people satisfied by Nanda Maharaj in this great ceremonies were Vishnus. They were not Daridra, nor were they Narayan. Rather, they were devotees of Narayan, and their educational qualification they would satisfy Narayan. And by their educational qualification, they would satisfy Narayan. Therefore, satisfying them was an indirect way of satisfying the Lord. Mad Bhaktat Pujadyadika. The Lord says, worshipping my devotees better than worshiping me directly. The Varnashram system is entirely meant for Vishnu Aradhana, worship of the Lord. Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parapuman Vishnur Aradhyate. Vishnu Purana. The ultimate goal of life is to please Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. The uncivilized man or materialistic person, however, does not know the aim of life. Nate Vidhu Swarthagatim Hi Vishnu, Bhagavatam 7.5.31. One's real self-interest lies in satisfying Lord Vishnu, not satisfying Lord Vishnu, but instead attempting to become happy through material adjustments, Bahira Arthamanina, is the wrong way of happiness. But Vishnu is the root of everything. If Vishnu is pleased, everyone is pleased. In particular, one's children and family members become happy in all respects. Nanda Maharaj wanted to see his newborn child happy. That was his purpose. Therefore, he wanted to satisfy Lord Vishnu, and to satisfy Lord Vishnu it was necessary to satisfy his devotees, such as the learned Brahmanas, Magadas, and the Sutas. Thus, in a roundabout way, ultimately it was Lord Vishnu who was to be satisfied. Rohini cha Mahabhaga Nanda Gopabhinandita Vyachara Divya Vasa Strak Kantabharana Bhushita. The most fortunate Rohini, the mother of Baladev, was honored by Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And thus she also dressed gorgeously and decorated herself with a necklace and garland and other ornaments. She was busy wandering here and there to receive the women who were guests at the festival. Rohini, another wife of Vasudeva, was also kept under the care of Nanda Maharaj with her son Baladev. Because her husband was imprisoned by Kamsa, she was not very happy. But on the occasion of Krishna Janmashtami, Nandotsava, when Nanda Maharaj gave dresses and ornaments to others, he also gave gorgeous garments and ornaments to Rohini, so that she could take part in the festival. Thus, she was also busy receiving the women who were guests. Because of her good fortune in being able to raise Krishna and Balaram together, she is described as Mahabhaga, greatly fortunate. Tata arabhya nandasya vraja sarva samriddhiman hared nivasatma gunai rama kridam abhunrapa. O Maharaj Parikshit, the home of Nanda Maharaj is eternally the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his transcendental qualities, and is therefore always naturally endowed with the opulence of all wealth. Yet beginning from Lord Krishna's appearance there, it became the place for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. The abode of Krishna is always served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Wherever Krishna goes, the goddess of fortune naturally resides with him. The chief of the goddesses of fortune is Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Krishna's appearance in the land of Raja indicated the chief goddess of fortune, Radharani, would also appear there very soon. Nanda Maharaj's abode was already opulent, and since Krishna had appeared, it would be opulent in all respects. Gopan Gopula Rakshayam nirupyam mathuram gata Nanda kamsasya vashikyam karam datum kurudvaha. Shukadeva Goswami continued, thereafter, my dear King Parikshit, O bestower, O best protector of the Kuru dynasty, Nanda Maharaj appointed the local guardmen to protect Gokula and then went to Mathura to pay the yearly taxes to Kamsa. Because the killing of babies was going on and had already become known, Nanda Maharaj was very much afraid for his newborn child. Thus, he appointed the local guardmen to protect his home and child. He wanted to go immediately to Mathura to pay the taxes due and also to offer some presentation for the sake of his newborn son. For the protection of the child, he had worshipped various demigods and forefathers and given charity to everyone's satisfaction. Similarly, Nanda Maharaj wanted not only to pay Kamsa the yearly taxes, but also to offer some presentation so that Kamsa too would be satisfied. His only concern was how to protect his transcendental child Krishna. Vasudeva upashrutya bhrataram nandamagatam gyatva dattam karam ragnye yayo tad avamochanam. When Vasudeva heard that Nanda Maharaj, his very dear friend and brother, had come to Mathura and already paid the taxes to Kamsa, he went to Nanda Maharaj's residence. Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were so intimately connected that they lived like brothers. Furthermore, it is learned from the notes of Sripad Madhavacharya and that Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were step-brothers. Vasudeva's father, Surasena, married a Vaishya girl, and from her, Nanda Maharaj was born. Later, Nanda Maharaj himself married a Vaishya girl, Yashoda. Therefore, his family is celebrated as a Vaishya family. And Krishna, is identifying himself as their son, took charge of Vaishya activities. Vishi Goraksha Varnikyam. Balaram represents plowing the land for agriculture and therefore always carries in his hand a plow, whereas Krishna tends cows and therefore Krishna carries a flute in his hand. Thus the two brothers represent Krishi Raksha and Goraksha. Tram drishtva sahasothaya deham pranami vagatam prita priyatamam dorbhyam sasvaje prema vihvala. When Nanda Maharaj heard that Vasudeva had come, he was overwhelmed with love and affection, being as pleased as if his body had regained its life. Seeing Vasudeva suddenly present, he got up and embraced him with both arms. Nanda Maharaj was older than Vasudeva, therefore Nanda Maharaj embraced him and Vasudeva offered him namaskar. Pujita sukham asina prishtvanam mayam adrita prasakta di swatma jayor idam aha vishampate. Maharaj Parikshit, having thus been received and welcomed by Nanda Maharaj with honor, Vasudeva sat down very peacefully and inquired about his own two sons because of intense love for them. Dishtya bhrata pravayasa idanim aprajasyate praja shaya nivrittasya prajayat samapadyata. My dear brother Nanda Maharaj, at an advanced age you had no son at all and were hopeless of having one. Therefore that you now have a son is a sign of great fortune. At an advanced age, one generally cannot beget a male child. If by chance one begets a child at this age, the child is generally female. Thus, Vasudeva indirectly asked Nanda Maharaj whether he had actually begotten a male child or a female child. Vasudeva knew that Yashoda had given birth to a female child, whom he had stolen and replaced with a male child. This was a great mystery, and Vasudeva wanted to determine whether this mystery was already known to Nanda Maharaj. On inquiring, however, he was confident that the mystery of Krishna's birth and his being placed in the care of Yashoda was still hidden. There was no danger since Kamsa at least could not learn what had already happened. Dishya samsara chakresmin vartamana punarbhava upalabdho bhavanadya durlabham priyadarshanam. It is also by good fortune that I am seeing you. Having obtained this opportunity, I feel as if I have taken birth again, even though one is present in this world. To meet with intimate friends and dear relatives in the material world is extremely difficult. Vasudeva had been imprisoned by Kamsa, and therefore, although present in Mathura, he was unable to see Nanda Maharaj for many years. Therefore, when they meet again, Vasudeva considered this meeting to be another birth. Nekatra priya samvasa suhridam chitrakarmanam oghina vyuhyamananam plavanam shotaso yatha. Many planks and sticks, unable to stay together, were carried away by the force of the river's waves. Similarly, although we are intimately related with friends and family members, we are unable to stay together because of our varied past deeds and the waves of time. Vasudeva was lamenting because he and Nanda Maharaj could not live together. Yet, how could they live together? Vasudeva warns that all of us, even if intimately related and carried away by the waves of time according to the results of past karma, Kachit pasyavyam nirujam bhurambu trana virudham brihad vanam tad adhuna yatra se tvam suhridvrita. My dear friend Nanda Maharaj, in the place where you are living with your friends in the forest, is the forest favorable for the animals, the cows? I hope there is no disease or inconvenience. The place must be full of water, grass, and other plants. Purport. For human happiness, one must care for the animals, especially the cows. Vasudeva therefore inquired whether there was a good arrangement for the animals where Nanda Maharaj lived, for the proper pursuit of human happiness. For the proper pursuit of human happiness, there must be arrangements for the protection of cows. This means that there must be forests and adequate pasturing grounds full of grass and water. If the animals are happy, there will be an ample supply of milk from which human beings will benefit by deriving many milk products with which to live happily. As enjoined in Bhagavad Gita 1844, Krishi Gorakshavaanikyam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. Without giving proper facilities to the animals, how can human society be happy? That people are raising cattle to send to the slaughterhouse is a great sin. By this demonic enterprise, people are ruining their chance for a truly human life. Because they are not giving any importance to the instruction of Krishna, the advancement of their so-called civilization resembles the crazy efforts of men in a lunatic asylum. Bhratar mama sutta kanchin matra saha bhavad vraje tatam bhavatam manvano bhavadbhyam upa lalita. My son Baladev, being raised by you and your wife Yashoda Devi, considers you his father and mother. Is he living very peacefully in your home with his real mother Rohini? Pumsastri vargo vihita suhrido yanu bhavita nateshu klishya maneshu trivargorthaya kalpate. When one's friends and relatives are properly situated, one's religion, economic development, and sense gratification, as described in Vedic literatures, are beneficial. Otherwise, if one's friends and relatives are in distress, these three cannot offer any happiness. Vasudeva regretfully informed Nanda Maharaj that although he had his wife and children, he could not properly discharge his duty of maintaining them, and was therefore unhappy. Srinanda vacha ahote devaki putra kamsena bhavo bhata eka vashishta varaja kanya sapi dimam gata. Nanda Maharaj said, Alas, King Kamsa killed so many of your children, born of Devaki, and your one daughter, the youngest child of all, entered the heavenly planets. When Vasudeva understood from Nanda Maharaj that the mystery of Krishna's birth and his having been exchanged with Yashoda's daughter was yet undisclosed, he was happy that things were going on nicely. By saying that Vasudeva's daughter, his youngest child, had gone to the heavenly planets, Nanda Maharaj indicated that he did not know that his daughter was born of Yashoda, and that Vasudeva had exchanged her with Krishna. Thus, the doubts of Vasudeva were dispelled. Nunam hya adrishta nashtoyam adrishta paramojjana adrishtam atmana statvam yo vedana samuhyati. Every man is certainly controlled by destiny, which determines the results of one's fruitive activities. In other words, one has a son or a daughter because of unseen destiny, and when the son or daughter is no longer present, this also is due to unseen destiny. Destiny is the ultimate control of everyone, and one who knows this is never bewildered. Nanda Maharaj consoled his younger brother Vasudeva by saying that destiny is ultimately responsible for everything. Vasudeva should not be unhappy that his many children had been killed by Kamsa, or that the last child, the daughter, had gone to the heavenly planets. Sri Vasudeva Vacha Karo Vaivar Shiko Datto Ragne Drishtam Vayam Chava Nehastheyam Bahutitam Santyutpatascha Gokule. Vasudeva said to Nanda Maharaj, "Now, my dear brother, since you have paid the annual taxes to Kamsa and have also seen me, do not stay in this place for many days. It is better to return to Gokula, since I know that there may be some disturbances there." Shri Sukha Vacha Iti Nandadayo Gopa Proktaste Shaurina Yayu Anobir Anudud Yuktais Tam Anudnyapya Gokulam. Shukadev Goswami said, after Vasudeva advises Nanda Maharaj in this way, Nanda Maharaj and his associates, the coward man, took permission from Vasudeva, yoked their bulls to the bullock carts, and started riding for Gokula. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 10th canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.